Friday night. 9:30 p.m. Hotaru changed into his robe and went to the guard's monitor room. 9:45 p.m. I managed to incite Jin and Kwang into a fight and created a little chaos. 9:45 p.m. Pai made his cellmate fall asleep. 9:47 p.m. While everyone's attention was drawn to Yin and Kwang, Pai came into my cell. 9:53 p.m. Hotaru came back. 9:55, all of the inmates had gone back to their own cells and the gates were all locked up. 10 p.m. No guards showed up for the roll call. 10:07, Hotaru, Pai and I climbed into the underground tunnel through the hole in the floor of the cell. So far, everything was going smoothly, according to plan. The tunnel was in the basement floor of the prison. There was another monitor at the end of it. It had a skylight window on the ceiling, which was right under the prison yard. It was also located on the edge of the yard near the prison walls. It was the only area that wasn't covered by the searchlights. If we could get there without being discovered, freedom would finally be within our reach. But here came the biggest obstacle in our whole plan. The guards in the monitor room. Every night there would be 2 people on duty in the room. Most of the time they stayed inside. They would leave and patrol the basement floor every once in a while. We had to get into the room during their patrol without running into them. We must then get out through the window before they came back. Only then would the plan be a success. For an entire month, I had been observing the patrols while I hid in the underground tunnel. There was a lot of heavy machinery on the basement floor. They had divided the whole floor into many smaller lanes. Traversing all of the lanes would take a very long time, therefore most of the guards didn't really bother. Their patrol routes had no schedule or patterns whatsoever. However, there was a pair of peculiar twin brothers who would always follow the same route without exception. It was such a huge break for us. Naturally, we decided to choose a night when the twins were on duty to carry out our plan. To be absolutely sure, I had even drawn a map of their patrol route. The monitor room was in the northwestern corner of the basement floor, and we set out from the southeastern corner. We could use the machinery as cover. However, there was nothing blocking the view in the lanes. The moment the guards appeared in the same lane as us in either direction, they would see us immediately. In short, we had to get to the monitor room in a limited amount of time while avoiding the patrolling guards. I had planned our route in advance. It should be west, west, north, west, northeast, north, west. Oh god, I'm gonna have to switch all of those around. But I seem to have made a mistake. After 2 intersections, we were caught by one of the twins. After the guards saw us, we began running towards the monitor room in the hope of still making it. But before we could climb out through the window, we heard the deafening alarms screaming outside. We were doomed. We were each put into solitary cells afterwards. The hole under the bunk bed in cell 28 was also filled. The next time I saw Pai and Hotaru was a week later in the yard. Pai was still his usual self. He seemed to be having lots of fun even if he had failed to escape. Since our failed attempt at escaping, the guards started to distance themselves from Hotaru to save their own skins. Hotaru no longer played his card games with others, and he no longer had any income. It was all my fault. I even had a map of the patrol. How could I have miscalculated our route? I thought about the angry looks Hotaru gave me. I thought about the fact that I might never be able to get out. I thought about the people that wanted to hurt Alicia. I felt so hopeless. Was there absolutely no other way to get out? Lord, please guide me. Well, I'll try my best. So, map. Okay, at least we can see this. So, wait, where are we? I guess we are this, right? So one guide goes here. So west and west. Then north, west, northeast. I don't know. Freaking west, west, north, west. After 2 intersections, he said. So it should be something here. Map. What if we just walk west 3 times? What if we do that? West. Okay, so now 1, 2, 3. Now we're here. 1, 2, 3. So north, 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 north. So now we're here. So east, north, west. That should be it. No, it isn't. How is this not it? West, north? No. How is that not it? Am I reading the map wrong? West. What if we go west, north, and then west? West, northwest. Nope. So west, north. Could go north again. No, we cannot. Because then we'll run into this one over here. Okay, so I cannot run into... So, west. Yeah, if I go west again, they will see me here, right? So, west. And then north. So, now we're here after 2. That's not gonna work, because this one's gonna see us. What if we go north, north? No. I don't know. West, west, north, east, west, north, north, west. Nope. We're gonna be here for a while. Because I cannot... Hang on. Listen. Listen. We start here. Right? So west. That's 1. But if I go north here, I believe this one will see me. And if I go west, won't this one see me? So if we start by going north, then we're fine. So let's start with north. Now we're here. So if we go west now, this guy will see us, right? So north, and if I go north again, this guy will see us. So west, west. If we go north... If we go east, we'll run straight into this one. What if we go east then? Nope. Why can I not freaking just think? West. West, north. West, north, west. So west, north, west. Now we're here. Can I go south? Do I have a south? No, I do not. Okay, let me cut the episode here and then we'll jump back once I figure this out, because this is gonna be like an hour and a half of me trying to dilly-dally this one. Well, I put east first now. Let's see what that gives us. But I seem to have made a mistake. Somehow we walked into a dead end. But when I was double-checking my map, we heard someone yelling from a distance. The twins had seen us. So that's the bad ending. Now there's only one ending left, and that's the one that I can't freaking... I just go, like, cross-court. And if I go back... So I go up. That's safe. But if I go up again, I run straight into this one, right? Apparently not. Okay, well, I guess I can't read a map, because this makes no sense. We managed to sneak into the monitor room, looking up through the window at the corner of the ceiling. Also, that took way too long. You don't want to know. I could even see the sapphire color of the starry night. Yay! We made it. Escape from the guards. The Keen Tracker achievement unlocked. Well, here it is if you want to see it. West, east, north, 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 west, west, west. So what I did was I put north, north, north. I think I put them last, actually. And then I had west, west, west instead of where north is right now. And then I just switched these two around. And then I started switching the three of these around. Because I was just goofing at that point because I'd given up. And apparently this is it. Wait, so west, east, north. Look at this. I start here, right? West, east, north, north. Oh, because he hasn't gotten there yet, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I didn't notice that. Shush. Oh god.
이렇게 되진 않을 거야.
Final Fantasy? Are we switching games now?
ここで立ち止まるわけにはいかない.
Oh, there's a new person! Blinking light.
Dios.
Oh, is that Hotaru? Because we got out of prison together with Carlos. Or is it Pi, the serial killer? Or is this Pi? I think this might be Pi, actually. Because they keep referring to, like, the blonde hair and had been through some trauma, which this person certainly have. Wait. Yeah, okay, well, if you read this down here, this is Pi. So we got Pi here, we got Carlos, and then we got what I assume is gonna be Hotaru. Given that it's a new person. And they are tied together. This has to be Hotaru, right? Okay, well. Pi's concern. My name is Carlos. I had planned a prison break not too long ago. Besides me, Pi and Hotaru were also involved in the plan. They were both inmates in Hong Kong Central Prison, just like me. On that night, we overcame lots of obstacles. Yeah, like a, 42-minute shuffling of east, west, and north. And broke into the monitor room on the basement floor. We were so close to freedom. The room had a skylight window with over 2 layers. The inside layer was a sliding glass sliding glass window to keep the dirt out. And on top of that was a window grate to protect the glass. Underneath the window, there was a small ledge that was barely large enough for one person to lie upon. When the weather was nice... what is that song? And now I got a song in my head. When the weather outside is sunny. And something the guards would open the glass window for ventilation. That must be why the ledge was covered with dirt. Hotaru slid the glass window open, pushed the grate, and climbed out. I was about to follow him. But then he turned around, dropped the grate, and stepped on it. What was going on? I was suddenly reminded of what Pai had told me in private. That little shorty is a sneaky bastard. I don't like him at all. When I first heard him say that, all I could think about was, yeah, you're one to talk. I figured he only disliked Hotaru for the same reason that he disliked people like Kai. But now I realized he might have had a point. Hotaru, should we trust him? I would not be surprised if he betrayed us right this moment. I laid down on the ledge. Through the glass I could see another dark figure joining Hotaru, but I couldn't tell who that was. It probably was a prison guard. No other people would be in the yard at this hour of the day. Hotaru was talking to the person. Even though there was only a grate between us, they were speaking so quietly that I still couldn't hear what they were saying. Shouldn't the guard be suspicious about Hotaru being there? Or maybe Hotaru was close enough to him that he would just let him go. Or maybe Hotaru had planned this all along. The dark figure moved a little. Okay. Damn it. Oh, they're taking a piss on me. A stream of foul-smelling yellow water suddenly rained upon my head through the grate. And it kept going. What the hell was that? Why would anyone pee in public like this? I finally couldn't tolerate the smell anymore and let out a cough. The guard noticed me. 2 minutes later, surrounded by a dozen prison guards, I was pulled up to the ground through the window. I finally saw the face of the other man. It was Morgan. After our escape failed, we were all sent to solitary cells. I only learned later that Morgan was a drug addict. It was pure coincidence for us to run into him on that fateful night. Morgan had been out walking that night, high as a kite. He didn't even realize that Hotaru was trying to escape when we saw him. It was me who ruined the whole thing. If I could have kept quiet, we might still be able to make it. Lord, would I have to spend the rest of my life in prison smelling like piss? Carlos. Okay, here. Oh, it is Hotaru. Blinking light. My name is written as Tachibana Hotaru on my passport. But most people only knew me as Hotaru, as it was also my moniker. It had been written in hiragana and hung over the door of my room in the Okiya. Can someone in the comments let me know what is an Okiya? The Geisha Okiya, located in Shinjuku 4-Kome in Tokyo, that was where I grew up. Oh, is it like an orphanage? On a moonless night, I, still a newborn baby, had been left at the back door of the... Yes. I was wrapped in a piece of plain white cloth, and there was a glass jar with fireflies in it next to me. The faint blinking lights of the fireflies, Hotaru, had grabbed the attention of a sister that was coming back late. That was also how I got my name. Since then, the sisters in the Okiya had become my family. Okay, so it's like... Is it an orphanage just run by, like nuns? Or is it more like a monastery? Or a temple? I don't know, someone let me know. And that day, July 9th, became my birthday. I had shown a talent for dancing and performing since I was very young. The mama of the Okiya wanted to send me away to a kabuki school, but I didn't want to leave the Okiya. After some arguments and compromises, I became a male geisha. It was not something particularly uncommon in the past, but in contemporary Japan it was almost unheard of. Still, rules were made by people. For a long time, a paper fan, a kimono, a samisen, and my family were the entirety of my world. Until I met the savior, of my life. It was a stormy evening. Kizumikai was holding a banquet at our place, welcoming some guests who had come all the way from China. Menacing bodyguards in black suits were everywhere, from the gate to the backyard. A lot of them had a suspicious bulge on their waists. I was told those were concealed guns. Kizumikai was both a stakeholder in and the protector of our Okiya. It was also the most powerful gang in the Shinjuku area. The Okiya had prepared many performances for this night. No mistakes would be allowed. The opening act was Plum Blossom Creek, a dance that I had performed numerous times before. However, on that night I had caught a little cold. I wasn't feeling too well. With the atmosphere feeling so tense in the room, I was so nervous that I accidentally flung the fan out of my hand in the middle of the dance. The fan hit the head of a guest. It then fell into the boiling beef pot in front of him. The entire room became deadly silent, but a young Chinese boy sitting at the corner of the table burst out laughing. Kizumikai's men were outraged. I immediately dropped to my knees and begged for forgiveness. I was trembling from head to toe, too scared to even look up. One of them had already released the safety on his gun when the laughing young man said something. I couldn't understand what he said, but it must have been something nice. He became the savior of my life. Our story had a fairy tale beginning. But we didn't get to have the best ending. 2 years ago, he died. I only heard about it later by accident from some other customers. They also said that it had been Yes, it couldn't be possible. I began to regret a lot of things. It was always him who would come to Japan to visit me, but I had never gone to Hong Kong to visit him. We could only meet 2 or 3 times a year and only for a few days each time. He would never tell me in advance, so every time was always a surprise. Sometimes I would fantasize about it when he was not with me. I would think to myself, maybe he was in Japan and maybe he would suddenly appear in front of me. The last time he came to see me, I was on a trip to Tottori with the sisters, so we missed each other. But I never would have thought that it would be my last chance to ever see him. He ended himself while I was away. I couldn't let him die like this. Against the objections from my sisters, I packed up all of my belongings and savings and came to Hong Kong. I finally managed to find his housekeeper who had also looked after him. The housekeeper accompanied him to Japan a couple of times. We had met a few times and I knew I could trust him. He told me that he had never believed that his young master would have ended himself. He knew somebody who wanted the young master dead, but he didn't have enough proof. The Lin family was a huge clan that had grown to have too many factions and infighting. If you wanted someone gone, you either made sure you had sufficient evidence against him or you killed them. Well, was that somebody responsible? To find out the truth, I needed more information and more money. After spending some time on the streets looking for clues, I had an idea. I bribed a few cops to arrest me for something I made up. Just so that I could be sent to Hong Kong Central Prison. In here, not only would they take care of my room and board, I could make more money and collect more information with my special gift. Everyone in the prison had their own value to me. Some of them were worth the few $100 that I could win off them in a bet. Others might have power and connections that could help me get closer to the truth. The drunk and barely coherent prison guard who was standing in front of me right this moment fell into the latter group. His name was Morgan. Were we not just together? Did you already miss me, sweet baby? Ha ha ha. He was supposed to be doing the roll call tonight, so I had gotten him drunk earlier, hoping he would be sleeping it off. Who knew that he would be out wandering, doing drugs again? His deeply sedated brain was probably making him unable to think anymore. Nevertheless, him being here was still a problem for us. I had to be calm. I pulled my cab over. Care for a drink? Hold on 1 second. Morgan unzipped and started doing his thing without even turning away. Oh no. That was... oh god. I heard someone cough under the window. Carlos, you idiot. We were so screwed. I should not have agreed to help that idiot escape. I'd been in cell 28 for a long time. At first it was just me. Soon I found the hole under the bottom bunk bed, which was big enough for one person to escape. Perhaps somebody else had tried to escape from here, but for some reason he had to abort, therefore leaving the hole behind like this and without being discovered by the guards. I thought it was a blessing from the gods gifting me with an exit strategy like this. Once I had enough money, I could just disappear without a trace. I had never revealed this secret to anyone else. Never would I have imagined that my plan would be ruined by someone like Carlos. I didn't know that he would want to switch me out of this cell after winning the card game. I had no choice but to tell him the truth. One thing led to another and it ended up being a prison break involving 3 people. Damn it, I should not have told him. I should have just made up some other excuse for Taro. Okay, and then we got Pi. So is this the first time? I think this might be the first time where we have to balance 3 letters. My name is Pi. It's not my real name, but everyone kept calling me that, so I decided to take it. Sometimes I wondered if God and fortune had abandoned me. No, I'm right here reading your letter here. But I knew that there were many people in this world who might be as unfortunate as me, or even more so. I was determined to look for them, approach them, and seek out the culprit who had turned their lives into living nightmares. I would never be a god, but I was a deliverer of God's punishment. Evil deserved to be punished, and the unfortunate deserved to be salvaged. As for the sin of revenge, let me be the sole bearer of its wrath. However, I had begun to gradually realize that the evil in these humans was almost like bacteria or a virus. They could be everywhere. They could dwell in a dark, humid, disgusting back alley, or a loud and ecstatic pub, or a joyful and innocent elementary school. I could still remember the lust in that PE teacher's eyes when he had mentioned his students. It was sickening. It was stomach-turning. Even though I kept eliminating them one after another, I always ended up running into the next foul bastard hiding in another evasive corner of the city. I had finally came to one conclusion after my activities had been published in the papers. Instead of tracking them down one by one, a more effective way was to deter them with fear. The last target I had on the outside had been an unemployed young man who I had accidentally run into on the street. Is that Jimmy? I picked up the newspaper that he had dropped, and there was a story about someone molesting young children on it. That someone was him. It grabbed my attention, so I decided to follow him for a while. As it turned out, he was clearly not one of those. The article was just gossip that had to have been planted by someone who had wanted to slander him. Still, I figured if I left my smiley face signature next to his, yes, as the press called him, it would become another viral story in the media for sure. And then the real perverts would certainly think twice before committing any atrocities. Maybe they would even be scared shitless and wouldn't even dare go outside. Ha 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 ha. My logic was impeccable, but my luck wasn't, and things didn't turn out the way I had planned. Well, life in prison wasn't so bad. There were plenty of evil men who had received a much less serious sentence than what they deserved. Occasionally, I would send a couple of them to hell in the name of justice. However, for every day that I had to stay in prison, more evil went unchecked in the world outside. The thought made me feel anxious every single day when I was in there. Therefore, the moment that I heard Carlos mention Prison Break, I immediately joined his plan, without any hesitation. Today was the day of our escape. I was guessing that we might have run into some trouble. I said guessing because I couldn't see what was going on in the yard from where I was standing. Carlos was supposed to follow Hotaru out through the window, and I would follow them. However, Carlos was still lying on the ledge beneath the window. Since there was only enough space for one person, I had to hide myself behind the door. So far, only Hotaru was up in the yard. I had never fully trusted that shorty. If he dared to betray us, I would not let him get away with this. Right at that instant, I heard the footsteps of the prison guards on night duty. The twins had come back from their patrol. The door squeaked as it was pushed open. I held him tightly. There was a syringe in his hand. I choked the neck of the guard in front, but I didn't want to kill either of them. There was no reason to punish them. Besides, as long as I could get out of here, there would be nothing they could do about me. I was too careless. This man was much stronger than I thought. When my chokehold just barely loosened up for an instant, he reached his arm backwards and stabbed me in the neck with the syringe in his hand. It somehow felt familiar to me. Only this time it wasn't poison in the syringe, but a strong hallucinogen. Everything before my eyes suddenly began to look bent and twisted. All the shapes were tangled together, and then untangled, and then restructured again. And then they morphed into emptiness. There was only me left, standing in the center of a dark vacuum. A man emerged from the dark. He walked towards me and stopped in front of me, looking down at me coldly. He had oily dark hair and a round belly. He was carrying an empty beer bottle. He could barely stand. "Where's your mother? Did your mother go back to Alex's again? I swear to God." I felt something familiar yet strange growing in my heart. But who was this person? My splitting headache started up again as if someone was squeezing my brain. I kept enduring the pain in my head and pulled out an imaginary gun. I pointed it at the oily-haired man and pulled the trigger. I heard a gunshot, but then I found myself holding a cooking knife instead, a bloody knife. The man standing opposite of me split into two people, a man and a woman, both with blonde hair and blue eyes, were holding each other intimately. The man seemed a little nervous while the woman had a smirk on her face. They were looking directly at me. She was also holding a gun in her right hand. It was the same one that had just been in my hand. A wisp of grey smoke was rising from the tip of the barrel. Bastard. Bastard. But bastard? Bastard. No. No. I was not a bad child. My brain felt like it was being tumbled with 1,000 knives. Everything started morphing once again. The pain had spread across my entire body. It felt like I was drowning in it. I couldn't distinguish the boundary between reality and hallucination at all anymore. Who on earth were they? Help me, help. Pie. Okay, so we gotta take the syringe from that, put in the with the Hotaru, and then everything will be fine. Hold him tightly, and then the syringe. And then over here, some P for pie, right? That's totally gonna work. At my breath, I'm gonna grab the door tightly. One more step in this world, but then the man stopped, and then the man with the pacing and the whatnot, the peculiar map on the ground. The prison was a place with the society, but some of the guards, and then they developed, and then the foul smell, and in my mind, and yeah. Syringe fell out of his hand, went through the grate, someone jabbed it right. No, wait. Why is it in your shoulder? It was supposed to be in the shoulder of the guard. Damn it, I messed this one up. So how do I get it? Do I need to give Carlos the syringe? Yeah, I probably do. Okay. So this is not good. Great. Bad for everyone. Okay, so... Carlos. No. Then the pissing over here before we start. Aha. There we go. Push back against the wall. The footsteps were getting closer. The bottom of their boots were with the door frame, and then with the... Oh, but the man stopped. The twins were deep in conversation at the door, and they didn't notice me at all, nor did they look like they were about to shut the door. I listened more carefully. They seemed to be talking about a recent check of all the prison's housing. They mentioned that the check had found all kinds of weapons, gambling chips, and drugs in the cells and public activity room. They even found a dance mat. Oh, how dare! They lamented that ever since the new warden had been assigned here, Hong Kong Central Prison had become more and more corrupted. Back when Warden Kreis... Back when Warden Kreis was in charge. Oh, Warden... It's a name. I thought it was Crisis. Was in charge. Everything in the prison had been running quite smoothly, even though Warden Crisscross, the man, the legend, was a strange man too. These days, nobody even cared about the inexplicable death of an inmate. If one day something similar happened to some unlucky guard, the twins decided they would be ready to resign just for their own safety. I was still listening when they suddenly stopped talking. A hand appeared on the edge of the door and slowly pulled it open. Ah, piss. Went through the grate and someone... Stop getting it in your shoulder, Carlos! Ah! God darn it. Okay, well, so this isn't it. So I guess we're back to the... how am I gonna do this? There are so many possibilities. Because I can't just mix around. Because normally I would do this and then be like, okay, not that. So this, not that. So this, not that. But now there are 3 letters. What if you hold someone tightly? You pull your cap. You get a drink. Maybe? Put my hands to grab the ankles of the guard. Hotaru, run! I didn't know what had come over me to do something like this. The dark figure might have just been startled or simply lost his balance. He fell and sat on the ground, but Hotaru didn't run. He screamed at the figure on the ground. No, don't do it! He was trying to stop something. I immediately understood what it was. I finally saw the other person's face in the moonlight. Morgan, the guard from Britain, had drawn his gun and he was pointing it at my face. Oh, piss. I started rambling numbers for some reason. Well... Oh, wait, what if the guard unzips and then we grab the ankles? Right? So this is not it. So if you want to read this, pause the episode with the gunshot and something, and then with the sisters, and with they would always tell me that. So I must be a very lucky person. Well, okay. So here we go. No. What if you have a drink with whoever you're hallucinating? See, that's gonna do something. Well, this isn't it, because this is still bad, so... But if I can fix one of them, then we have something to work with. Okay, so that's how we're gonna do it. We're gonna fix one of them, get one of them to an S rank, and then we'll figure out with the two other stories how we're gonna do that one. Okay, so... we have tried this. What if this? No. But what if you just hold him tightly? Oh! Oh wait, what if Carlos has a cap on so the P can be redirected? Wouldn't that be good? Maybe that's how we do it. Oh no, that was... oh god. Wait. So the syringe falls through. Wait. What if we... oh wait, Carlos is already... hang on. Hold cap lower. Okay. I'm onto something here. What would be the reason for Pi to lower his cap? That doesn't make sense, right? I'm really trying to figure this one out. I really am. But it's difficult. Okay, so that's still a failure. So not that... you know what? Screw it. What happens if you pull your cap? Nothing. I think cap needs to be on Carlos. What haven't we tried? Have we tried this? Hang on. This gotta be... hang on. History. There's only one left. I found every other possibility. Really? So if I can get this clock a ticking... ah! Damn it. Exactly! See, that was my thought process the entire time, saying that if he had the cap on, he could redirect the pairs. Thank God I had this hat on me, otherwise, ew. The guard zipped his pants back up, put an arm around Hotaro's shoulder and said something to him. However, I couldn't hear anything as he was too quiet. Right at that moment, I heard gunshots coming from the door of the monitor room. Hold on a second. With all of this, we have read that. But fortunately, everything stayed quiet below the window. Thank God. Yeah, thank me. Morgan zipped his pants back up. I pulled him closer to me and led him to a dark corner. This way Morgan would not notice the other two people climbing out the window. Besides, I had one last request before leaving. We had barely taken 2 steps when we heard a gunshot come from the monitor room. It wasn't loud, but Morgan had clearly heard it. What the hell were those two doing down there? We were so screwed. Wait. So this wasn't it? No, because they're still... So I still need to find the S rank with him. No, wait. You need to have this. It's gotta be something then with these two. I think this could be it. Damn it, thank God I had this on me, blah, 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 blah. We were almost there. Yes, this has to be it. Everything's good here. Dark corner. Notice the other two people. The photo that you showed me earlier, can I see it again? He stared blankly at me. It took him a while to understand what I was referring to. Then he put his hand inside his jacket. searched for a long time and pulled out a photo. The woman in the photo was wearing a leather jacket and a pair of jeans. She was walking out of a pharmacy and about to put on her sunglasses. The brown face under her cap looked very cold. I was honestly very grateful to Morgan. He had helped me a lot, including finding out the itinerary, what the frick is that, of my dear friend's last trip to Japan, and who he had met and been with during the trip. That was how we found this woman. I figured she was just an assassin, and the person that the housekeeper had mentioned must have paid her. I swore I would not let either of them get away. You want more of me, don't you? If so, give me a kiss. I was good. Half a month ago, Carlos confessed to me that the reason he wanted to escape was to find his sister. He even showed me a picture of her. I just wanted to confirm that it was the same person in both photos, and now I was 100% certain. Morgan grabbed my shoulders. The smell of alcohol and other odors were getting stronger and stronger, enough that it was making me sick. His tall body was leaning towards me, closer and closer. Then he fell to the ground with a thud. I saw a dagger in his back. The blade had sunk deep into his body, where his heart was. Pi crouched down and wiped off the blood of his hands with Morgan's clothing, all while having a disgusted expression on his face. Well, we shouldn't stay here for too long. Follow me. Carlos ran towards the storage room in the corner of the yard. He had hidden some tools there to get over the walls. I looked at Morgan one last time before I followed. The photo was still stuck firmly in his hand. I didn't need it anymore. I would never forget that face. I held my breath. Okay, we read off this one more step, but the man stopped, and then with the peeking through the door, and which one? And then it's the new bar on Bay Road. You haven't been there, have you? No, have you? Of course not. I heard it from Morgan. He said the girls there were super hot and... Oh, that sounds like fun. The subject seemed to have excited the twins a lot. Their footsteps continued again just outside the door. Only this time they were going further away from me. After we got out of Hong Kong Central Prison, the three of us were all crammed into a car driven by a friend of Carlos. We were driving on roads that usually didn't have any cops and talking about our plans. Carlos intended to stay in Hong Kong. He had told me a long time ago that he was only escaping to go and look for his sister. Otaro was still playing with his phone, and he said that he was going to stay too. I thought about it for a while and finally decided to leave Hong Kong. If I had to guess, the news of me breaking out of prison would soon be broadcast to the entire island. I could imagine the lovely expressions on those evil people who thought they had escaped my judgment when they heard the news of my going to prison. I had planted the seed of fear in them, and they would no longer require any extra care from me. The darkness inside humans' hearts would make sure that it kept growing and blossoming. What I needed to do was to plant more seeds all around this vast world. So I got out of the car somewhere near the port. My dear friends, farewell. With the sound of a ship's horn booming between the clouds and the ocean, I climbed onto a cargo ship that was about to set off on its voyage. She would be taking me to my next destination. I hoped that I would have more new and interesting encounters in a new and exciting world. Smiley face. Ending unlocked. Escape from prison. Beast out of the cage achievement unlocked. And there you have it. Uh-oh.
I closed the kitchen door, crouched down, and quietly tear open a letter.
The letter is from a human named Wen. All I do every day is prepare tea and snacks for Master, so I don't have anything else to do most of the time. Whenever I can never remember the voice I give her. Whenever I am free, I read some of the letters I have stolen from Master's room. The first few times, I would sometimes imagine what I would do with the letters if I were Master. Lately, I stopped thinking about that too much. I have been too curious about what has been happening to them. A young girl in school, a painter, a mental patient, a nerd, a couple of police officers, a pair of separated siblings, and a stray cat. Something bad must have happened to them when they wrote these letters. Even though I have read the choices Master made for them, I am still amazed by what happened afterwards in their lives. Although sometimes as an observer, I feel like whatever choices they made wouldn't make any big differences.
I suppose that's why they say time is hard. However, if I were one of them, I might think that this god is way too irresponsible. After all, if it were my own life, I don't think I would just simply accept a fate that was hard. It's so confusing. Oh, shit! Okay, the fire's off. Let me make the tea first.
Master has a weird preference for his tea. He does not like the bitter taste of the tea leaves, so he likes to add sugar. I always think he should just choose another drink if he dislikes the bitter taste, like milk. There must be a lot of other choices. Could you imagine if you get a letter from Master being, I have to switch around like tea, coffee, and milk? In the end, I opt to pour the sugar directly into the teapot. That is much easier.
Wait, is this salt? Shoot.
Looks up with exasperation.
I hear that besides sugar, it's also okay to add milk to tea, so maybe it's also okay to add salt. Who knows? Master! The door isn't closed.
Push the door open lightly.
I guess he's sleeping again. What the shit?